And here's the EX5 boss stage guide. So Norman's been getting easier with more complete teams, tanks that actually deal damage, selectable buffs, more batteries, and overall more understanding of how to approach the fights. However, if this upsets you, don't worry, because Kuro has released an EX6 Norman stage with an 8000 BP rating. As the name suggests, it requires 6 teams, so you better not have any gaps in your teams, especially when support units aren't allowed. So no borrowing your friend's SSS plus A2. The bosses are also a mix of classic fan favorites such as Riot, with iframe laser dodging minigame, and both phases of Gabriel's Starfall with Supernova included, along with shiny new wonders like Voodoo and Lamia. Meanwhile, the boss buffs are annoying, and the stages to remove them might just be harder than the actual boss fights themselves. Anyways, back to EX5 Norman, which seems like a piece of cake in comparison. Last Norman gave us enough shards to get our first weapon USB if you've been religiously clearing hard mode. Those who missed a clear or chose easy mode occasionally should have it this Norman maybe or next. Easy mode warriors will need like 3 more Normans to get their weapon USB. Basically, don't pick easy, unless you're new and you don't have time to mold on the 10th day. These are the buffs I chose for each team. As usual, giving Alpha Plume's signature weapon to imitate a 5-star. And disabling Rosetta's weapon resonance by choosing dodge. Free A, rank Bull Pet to stun Shark and hold her still for your burst. Camu EQT also stuns to help Rosetta if you don't have her pet. Ideally, keep auto-attacking with Rosetta or Alpha until the other one is off cooldown. But you can switch to Camu as an emergency if you're out of dodges or feeling too much pressure from Shark. Dash auto-attack to deal more damage. Leave some orbs left over so you have more orbs next switch in, and are more likely to have the right orbs to go into sword waves. Use Rosetta ultimate immediately after her combo when possible. It's important to stall for time after using burst, so that Da Vinci can come off cooldown for your next burst. If you switch and Da Vinci is still on cooldown, for Rosetta it's fine and you can just wait. But for Alpha, you can't afford to wait after Matrix dodging, since 4-set Frederick timing window is ticking, and you'll lose either Frederick or Da Vinci buff, which is a big DPS loss. So the real determining factor for switch cooldown is actually when you Matrix dodge and use Da Vinci. As seen in that previous Rosetta rotation where I missed many dodges and comboed late, so I could only switch to Alpha 5 seconds after she was already off cooldown, which is 5 wasted seconds, also resulting in DPS loss. My skill issue kicking in. Stuns interrupt this screaming attack, so don't worry about dodging it. Honestly, Camu Ultimate is fine to use if you have more than 5 seconds of switch cooldown. The damage is decent if you time it with both Rosetta and Alpha QT activating a pseudo Da Vinci. I used their QTs too early though, cause I wasn't planning on it. Next up, Ice. Plume gets Alpha's signature weapon, which is just a stat stick. And trial Changyu. When you see him building up for the explosion, core, dodge, ping 3 times and ultimate. You can dodge cancel red and blue orbs, and sneak in auto attacks for more orbs, but that's not necessary. Trial Changyu still does decent damage with Da Vinci activation. If you are insecure about activating core first, or just don't want to risk missing the dodge after, you can just core after dodging like that I do here. But you'll need to pause for a second after core switch, before you start bursting, so that your ultimate becomes available and lands before tank shred expires. Plume auto-attacking after burst just for more orbs. If you are using Chrome Glory, you can auto-attack less here. No red orbs here, so I 3 ping blue to fill my entire core bar, which reorganizes my orbs. Now for lightning. Bianca gets a 5-star weapon and trial Chrome for maximum pain. Core spam, while making sure to dodge every 5 seconds for the stage buff. Use Da Vinci QT just before the ultimate explosions to boost its damage. Although I did it halfway, which was a bit late. Feel free to use Chrome QT by itself whenever, since he's not the one holding Da Vinci. Using Tank QT, then DaVinci QT, and Tank QT together is called double QT, and it increases tank shred uptime, because tank shred duration is 5 seconds, while QT cooldown is like 10 seconds. Although, here I didn't space them out, and just did it solely for Chrome's QT damage. Transcendant stage only needs the classic base S Camu with 5-star weapon, along with Trial Chu and Selena. Although Luna doesn't actually get stunned, there's still a tiny stun indicator on her head as a result of the stage buff, which is a 30% chance to stun for 5 seconds upon 3 ping and deal 25% more damage. So the damage increase should still apply. Trialed Selena has her signature weapon, which rearranges her orbs into 3 pings after using her ultimate. I believe you only need to auto-attack the spheres on the ground to interrupt Luna. Finally, fire, which is much easier now with Live Empryea. Dodge resonance to weaken her. Karen doesn't really do much and can be replaced with any fire unit. Except for Lee though, because his QT doesn't do fire damage, so it can't proc Einsteina. I'm also using Nanami here, who can be replaced with any tank. Prepare DaVinci to use on Liv in case you don't get the right orbs. Fill up core bar with 3 ping, enter core and use mismatched color orbs to activate the dark explosion, which can be used for matrix dodge. Using 2 set Kadi memories lets you use ultimate afterwards, where you pray that it gives you the right orbs for DaVinci trigger. Make sure to only activate Da Vinci just before the damage hits. Fire Live is so strong that I only need to switch in Karenina once. Also want to point out that Karenina's signature weapon is only like a minuscule 3% damage increase over a 5-star weapon. I auto-attacked a bit, just to get a few more orbs to increase chances of getting yellow orbs for Da Vinci trigger. Fastest clear out of all the stages here. Fire Live 2 OP.
安らかに眠ってください。苦痛という名の牢獄から解放されたのです。
So, there's the boss clears for the 5th Norman stage, Bollie Mine. The video that you actually care about is probably the new 6th stage, Cloud Mine. I'll make a video on it soon, but it's not looking good. From my attempts so far, it's much harder and the required investment is much higher. I'm sure after seeing my guides, I think it's pretty clear that EX05 Norman can be cleared by free-to-play players that have been playing for a while. But I'm not sure if it's even possible for free-to-play veterans to beat this new EX06 Norman. So, yeah, I doubt many people can clear it. I wish you luck for those malding it though.